You were shaking your head when you heard John talk and address the media. What were your thoughts?
I was sad, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, you see a head coach lose his job, somebody that clearly and evidently cares so much about the kids. It's heart-wrenching to see somebody lose their job, particularly in these harsh economic times. This is not it's almost one of those moments where, as somebody who is a columnist and obviously a pundit and a commentator that has continuously fought this cause, because I've been a staunch critic of college football in terms of their hiring of African-American coaches. The reality of the situation is, let's take a couple of things into consideration. The man lost by an average of 48-17. Didn't win a home game, first time in school history since 1920. Those things resonate. And so it's hard to make the argument on his behalf, but here's where he has a very, very valid point, and it's something that African-American coaches have lamented to me personally over the years. A gentleman by the name of Dan Hawkins was his predecessor.
Had 5 years.
And had 5 years.
Five losing
seasons. The problem that African-American coaches have that is incredibly valid is the leash that is given to those that are not of African-American descent, that have an opportunity to fail over and over and over again. There seems to be a degree of longevity attached to their resumes and their tenures on specific jobs, as opposed to African-American coaches. And if you remember years ago, Gene Chizik, before he won the national championship with Cam Newton as his star, was somebody that just wasn't getting it done at Iowa State, I believe. Okay?
5-19.
That's right. He was 5-19, and he got hired, over Turner Gill. Everybody was saying Turner Gill deserved the coach. He did a better job at Buffalo. He was considered one of the golden boys in the industry. But Gene Chizik was somebody that was chosen over him. And so you get to a point where you see these paucity of these scarcities of opportunities that are accorded to people that are not of African-American descent. And when you're a coach like that, when he's sitting there with tears in his eyes, your heart goes out to him. On one hand, he didn't get it done record-wise. On the other hand, he's alluding to you what he was promised, what he was told, and the fact that you had a predecessor on record who was bad and had a 5-year tenure, but here he is just 2 years in, he's out the door. It's something that's incredibly alarming, because you have to take into account the history of black coaches being hired in college football, FBS schools. It simply doesn't happen with the degree of regularity we believe it deserves. When you consider the inordinate number of African-American athletes playing college football, but the lack of representation as it pertains to coaches, it gets to a point where a simple question needs to be asked. What exactly is it that you are trying to say? We'd like to know. Because it seems to me there have been a plethora of instances where those situations have not happened as it pertains to white coaches. But when it comes to black coaches, it seems to happen all too frequently. And again, we're talking about America here. I call America the land of second chances. What you heard this coach say, Embry, was that when it comes to college football and the African-American coaches, we're talking about an absence of second chances. That is a problem.
And Embry had a 5-year contract, so 3 years left on the deal. How much pressure, with the stats backing it up, with Tyrone Willingham being the only one getting that second chance in the FBS, how much pressure is on a college football coach who is black?
Immense pressure, because of what Embry said. You don't get second chances. Once you're out the door, you tend to be out the door. We are in the year 2012 when we can only point to one black man that has gotten a second chance as a head coach in college football. That is beyond disgraceful. We all know what time it is, so let's not just call it what it is. And so what I'm saying to you is that they're under immense pressure. And here's where it gets even worse. You're talking about colleges, you're talking about universities, you're talking about chancellors, you're talking about presidents, you're talking about athletic directors that basically, they amount to ad hoc committees. They make arbitrary decisions. They don't necessarily get held accountable because college football is so big time. It's so much money involved. People are thinking about their program. They're thinking about being successful. They're thinking about making money. They're not thinking about being fair. And nobody holds them accountable to be fair, because we know at the end of the day, as long as they're making money, everything is going to be okay. That is the problem. And I don't know know how it's going to be fixed, because it is something that myself, the great Michael Wilbons and Bill Rodens and guys like that have been complaining about for years and years and years, and there just never seems to be the level of progress that you would hope. Not to say there's no progress.
Yeah, you're seeing progress
level
with
of progress.
guys like Kevin Sumlin right now,
Sure.
Texas A&M,
Yes.
Charlie Strong at Louisville,
Yes.
maybe expanding to another job as well,
Right.
leaving that program down
Well, again,
the road.
that's the big thing here. The question is, of course, if you're winning, you get one chance, and of course, if you're winning, you know you're winning. But what if you struggle? Are you going to get that second chance the way your white contemporaries do? That's what the coach is questioning here, and I'm not going to lie, I don't blame him.